I'm now about to ride up Webster Pass. This is the first time I've ridden the GPX in a couple of months. I thought I would do a review on it because it's been a year and a half since my first video when I did my first ride on it. So I actually kind of forgot I had done that video, and then someone sent me a question on it the other day and I realised it had nearly 1,000 views, so I figured I'd do another one just to kind of update for anybody who's still kind of looking at them, interested, that kind of thing. Ooh. So just as a bit of an update on my situation, because I think it's important for you to know where I'm at, for you to understand my comments on this bike. So when I did my first review, when I first bought this bike, that was the very start of my first riding season here in Colorado. I had never ridden a trail at that point. My off-road experience was, I had the DR650 and I had done the Trans-America Trail on that, and that was the extent of my off-roading experience at that point where I made the last video. So since then, so last season I did a couple of organised rides, which were great, and I met some people on those to ride with, and then I very quickly found myself riding trail and single track with them and really getting into that, and I was doing that all on this, which, you know, this bike can handle that stuff, but I was riding with people who are way better than me, and they're all riding 300 two-strokes, so, you know, I'm the worst rider on the worst bike. So for this, the beginning of this season, I just bought a beta cross trainer, which I've only got about 10 or 11 hours on so far, but I think it's great. It's my kind of single track gnarly stuff bike. I still own the DR650, but it is currently up for sale at Motorado in Colorado. If anyone wants to go buy it, that'd be nice, because I just don't ride it anymore. You know, this thing covers my longer range, kind of easier, like today, dual sport riding. The cross trainer covers my single track and kind of enduro riding, and then so I also had another kid since that last video, so I now have a 4-year-old and a 5-month-old. So, you know, the DR650 is great for those long kind of ADV dual sport trips. I ain't got time to go on those right now. I get out for a day, so, you know, and this season I've just been riding single track. Just been doing lots of single track, seeing as this guy's been sat in the garage for 2 months. I'd give it a bit of a run out and give a bit of an update on the review. So I have roughly 1,200 miles on it. over the last 2 riding seasons, or season and a half. And obviously this is now my second bike. This is my, you know, if I'm getting out on my own like today, just want to jump on and explore, I'll jump on this. So what are the things that this bike does really well? Well, stuff like this. You know, it's rocky, you get a little technical bits here and there, it can handle that really well. The suspension is really good on this. The way I view this bike and where I kind of see it sitting on the range is it kind of bridges that pocket between kind of traditional Japanese dual sports, so DRZ400s, CRF300, KLX300, you know, those Japanese bikes. It has better suspension than them, better brakes than them, better styling than them, it's lighter than them. This is about 288 ready to, you know, fully loaded with fluids, etc. So it sits in that sweet spot between a kind of trail single track bike and a dual sport bike. So if you find yourself riding a lot of stuff where, you know, you don't know what you're going to get into, but you want to be prepared for anything you get into, then this is a great bike for that. You know, it will do anything. This bike 100% will go anywhere. Does it do harder technical single track stuff better than a 300 two-stroke? Definitely not. And does it handle the road better than a, wow, look at that red cone. I've never ridden that, but I did hike up it kind of by accident last year. It's pretty nice up there. Will it go on the road as well as a CRF300 or a DRZ400? Probably not. Does it sit on the road? Yeah, it'll go on the road. Do I ride it on the road? No, not anymore really. Connecting trails. But I'd still rather just chuck it in the truck and be fresh to ride when I get to wherever I'm riding. So that's where it sits, it's in that. You know, if you're riding kind of, you like kind of getting into the gnarlier stuff and a bit of single track on there, and or you know, you don't know what you're going to get into, but you want to be better prepared for if you do get into some stickier situations, let's say, then this bike is great. Really great. Whoa. Woo. Okay, also I guess we should mention on the good is the price. I believe there's still 6,000 with 400 shipping for the FSE300R. So for $6,400 you have a bike that is pretty solid. I've had no mechanical issues with this thing. So let's get into the issues that I have had with this thing. It's all kind of cosmetic and kind of shows up, I guess, the slightly poorer build quality, but it's minor things. It's you know, I've had, so on the airbox cover, some of the lugs kind of come out of the plastic, so that's now held on with a zip tie. I'm sure I could find a replacement lug, I just don't see the need. It cost me a zip tie whenever I change the air filter. I think in my first video I had shown a new shifter that I bought from Alibaba. It was supposed to be aluminium. That thing fucking bent the first time I dropped it, which again is not GPX's fault. That was a shifter that I bought and put it on there, and it was obviously shit. So I now have the tusk shifter on there, which is great. What else did I had go wrong with this? Nothing, I don't think. Hey, where are we going? This way? Yeah, I don't think I've had anything else. Kind of majorly go wrong. Well, no, I know I haven't. It just, this thing fires right up. It's a lugger. Alright, let's just take a look here up at Red Cane, because it's pretty. Gorgeous. So this is Webster Pass snaking up here. That's where we're heading. That's where I'm heading. So yeah, just catching a day to explore on this guy, get a bit of an easier ride in and enjoy the scenery. Look at that, fucking hell. Neutral. Fucking hell. You put that fucking rock there, huh? That's why I like the cross trainer better than this bike. There's so many times on this bike where I drop it because I'm short and I just can't get a foot down. Good morning. Absolutely incredible. Alright, so let's just run over the bike while we got this disgusting view here. Yeah, here we go. Little lug out here has come out somewhere along the trail. Zip tie. The moulded plastic lugs, which the subframe screws up into the rear fender. I had a pretty bad crash on this, and those moulded lugs sheared, so it's held on with a zip tie. And that's it. These kind of bluey things, I put those on, so it's not GPX's graphics that are fucked. Yeah, it's pretty good. So yeah, if you need just another bike to take the hours off your your higher performance bike, and you just sometimes like just getting out like this and exploring kind of jeep roads, county roads. This thing's great. Then, you know, if you find yourself on some more technical single track, this bike will do it no problem. So that's kind of where it's for. It's between the full-bodied enduro and single track bikes and the Japanese dual sports. And it will do both of those, so yeah, it will cover both of those bases, but with a little bit lacking either on the road end of the Japanese dual sports or the performance end of the Austrians and Italians and the French, etc. The Europeans. Whoop, I knew I was going to hit that. So yeah, I mean, I think that is the market for this bike, and I think it does it really well. As I said, I've had nothing mechanical with this bike. I've only done 1200 miles, but I have beat on this thing. I have dropped this thing so many times. I've ridden this on some pretty technical terrain, and it's been fine. It's done great, handles it well. And the suspension on this thing is pretty good for the money, I would say. It's kind of like if XR400 had a baby with a KTM EXC and it got all its looks and suspension from its Austrian side, and it got its engine characteristics from its Japanese side, which is actually a pretty nice combo. I mean, the one thing I will say is when you kind of turn up to a ride with this thing, people are always interested in it. I think people are a bit skeptical. People have this hang up on Chinese bikes, and you know, I get it, they don't have a great track record. So actually, one thing I will say is that part of the cheapness of this bike is that it ships to you and you kind of do all the final putting together and checking all of the tightness of the bolts, etc. And I would check it meticulously. I did have things periodically coming loose, such as the brake pedal seems to be a bit of a common one. So obviously just check everything over, Loctite everything you can. I mean, that's kind of what you're paying the dealer for, is to go over the bike and make sure it's ready for you. So you just do that yourself with this, and that, you know, maybe that's on me, maybe I didn't check things as well as I could. But I think it does speak to the build quality. I'm not trying to say that these are built like the Japanese or the European bikes, but they're pretty fucking good for the money. The maintenance intervals on this are similar to the Japanese bikes, so that's a good thing for a little dual sport bike. That's what this is. It's a lightweight dual sport bike. So we just came over Webster going to head into Montezuma, and I might give this a run up Santa Fe Peak. Yeah, I really like the characteristics of this bike actually. The kind of torquiness of it, just logs through stuff. It's a good time. Yeah, overall a great little package, this bike. I think it's done me great. It really helped me progress my riding last season. Kind of got thrown in at the deep end a little bit, which is always good. It's the fastest way to learn, and you know, this bike was absolutely capable of getting the job done. And the reason I bought a cross trainer as well is just because the kind of riding I'm getting into now is much gnarlier than what I was riding before. It's kind of all single track woods, soft enduro, and this bike could do it, but I need all the help I can get. So the cross trainer is great for that. Santa Fe. does have that tractor factor. What a shit line that was. Sun's coming out. For where I was at when I bought it, it was actually a really suitable bike. I didn't know what riding I was going to be getting into, but I knew I wanted to get into more technical riding than I could have done on the DR650. I was on a bit of a budget, and the bike enabled me to take that step from ADV dual sport riding on the DR650 and jump straight into much more technical dual sport, single track, that kind of stuff. And the bike helped me progress my riding significantly. And yes, I have bought another bike since then, the Beta Cross Trainer, and that's just because I have become addicted to the more technical riding. It's so much fun that I've gravitated towards that, and I wanted the best tool for me for doing that kind of riding, and that the Beta Cross Trainer is the perfect bike for me for that stuff. And this thing does perform pretty well on the road as well, not on kind of interstate highways, it's not very much fun on those, but on twisty mountain roads, you're cruising around 30, 40, 50 on the twisty roads. It's a lot of fun, and it handles it. It's a good bike for that. The GPX is still a perfect bike for me for the other type of riding that I enjoy, which is the kind of stuff in this video where I'm getting out, exploring around Colorado, Jeep roads, maybe getting into some technical stuff. You know, I know this bike will get me in, I'll have a good time on it, it'll get me out again. And yeah, so that as for the style of riding that I do, those two, the GPX covers that slightly more dual sporty side, and the Cross Trainer is my technical weapon. Thanks for watching. I hope it was useful to somebody, and if you want to post any questions, I will do my best to answer them.